In the bustling city of Ironhold, where cobblestone streets teemed with merchants and mischief, strolled a halfling named Pipkin Lightfingers. He couldn't resist the gleam of a silver pocket watch dangling from a noble's waistcoat. Halflings, notorious kleptomaniacs, had a knack for pilfering, and Pipkin was no exception. His nimble fingers danced, but a sharp-eyed guard caught the act. Before Pipkin could chatter his way out, he was clapped in irons. He was hauled to Ironhold's grim prison, a fortress carved into the cliffs above the city. Thrown into a damp cell, Pipkin found himself face to face with an orc named Tharok. He was a towering figure with piercing eyes and a scholar's demeanor. Orcs were renowned for their intellect. Tharok, a former alchemist, was serving time for a failed experiment that accidentally leveled a guild hall. He valued silence, a commodity Pipkin threatened immediately. The halfling's mouth ran like a river, spinning tales of his thieving escapades, the weather, and the prison's questionable stew. Tharok's patience frayed. His growls barely contained his annoyance at the pint-sized chatterbox. Prison life was harsh, especially in the mines where inmates toiled, chiseling ore under the watchful eyes of guards. Pipkin, small and sprightly, became a target for the other prisoners. Burly humans and surly dwarves mocked his size and stole his rations. His wide eyes and disarming grin, cute even by halfling standards, did little to deter them. Tharok, despite his irritation, couldn't ignore the injustice. One day, when a hulking prisoner shoved Pipkin into a minecart, Tharok stepped in. His imposing frame and sharp glare scattered the bullies. "Leave the runt alone," he rumbled, surprising even himself. Pipkin, undeterred, thanked him with a torrent of words, which Tharok endured with a sigh. Weeks passed, and Pipkin grew restless. "Prison's no place for a halfling," he declared. His mind whirred with escape plans. Tharok scoffed, calling him mad. Escape was impossible under the iron fist of Captain Vaughn. He was a diligent warden whose perfect record of no escapes was his pride. Yet Pipkin's preparations, stashing tools, mapping guard routes, and whispering about the mine's deepest tunnels, piqued Tharok's curiosity. The orc's analytical mind saw potential in the halfling's chaotic scheming. "You're reckless," Tharok said, "but I'm in." They struck an uneasy partnership. They plotted to flee through the mine's uncharted depths, where rumors spoke of undead miners, giant rats, and worse. Their escape began under a moonless sky. Pipkin picked the cell lock with a skeleton key and a tension wrench. "How the hell did you get a lock-picking kit?" Tharok gasped. "My secret stash," Pipkin winked. Tharok crossed his arms skeptically. They slipped into the mines, descending into darkness. The tunnels echoed with eerie moans as skeletal figures, undead remnants of long-dead prisoners, lurched from the shadows. Pipkin's quick feet dodged their grasp, while Tharok smashed through with a stolen pickaxe. Giant rats, eyes glinting, swarmed next, but Pipkin's slingshot and Tharok's brute strength kept them at bay. "Where the hell did you find that slingshot?" Tharok peered at the halfling with suspicion. "My secret stash." Pipkin grinned pridefully. Behind them, Captain Vaughn, alerted by a guard's discovery, led a relentless pursuit, his lantern casting long shadows as he vowed to preserve his reputation. Emerging from the mines, battered but alive, they fled into the rugged hills. Vaughn's hounds bayed in the distance, but salvation came in the form of an old man named Eldrin, who welcomed them into his modest cottage. His eyes twinkled with hidden power, for Eldrin was a wizard in disguise. Over a crackling fire, Pipkin spun exaggerated tales of their escape, while Tharok offered measured insights into their ordeal. Moved by their resolve, Eldrin wove a spell to cloak the cottage, tricking Vaughn's search party into passing by. Before they left, Eldrin gifted them enchanted weapons, a dagger for Pipkin that could cut through magic, a staff for Tharok that summoned protective barriers. "These will aid you to the borderlands," Eldrin said. "Cross the river to Kingsport, where sanctuary awaits." The borderlands were a treacherous expanse of jagged rocks and dense thickets. It was home to dire wolves and fire-breathing drakes. As they trekked, Vaughn's guards closed in, just as drakes descended, their scales glinting in the dusk. Pipkin's dagger flared, repelling the beasts, while Tharok's staff shielded them from fiery breath. The guards, less fortunate, screamed as drakes tore into them. Blood and guts flung about, then littered the ground. Vaughn escaped, his fury now a blazing obsession. That night, camping under Tharok's magical barrier, they fended off dire wolves. Their howls were silenced by the staff's power. By the fire, Pipkin dreamed of opening a tavern in Kingsport, while Tharok spoke of rebuilding his alchemical legacy. For once, the halfling listened, and the orc spoke freely. At dawn, an unnatural stillness settled over the borderlands, setting their nerves on edge. Pipkin sensed a strange energy, but Tharok smelled the river ahead. At its banks, they met a cloaked woman offering passage on her boat. "Pay the toll," she demanded. Pipkin handed over a few pilfered coins, then they boarded. "How'd you come across coin?" Tharok scolded. "Did you rob the wizard?" "No," Pipkin said. "I had it in my secret stash." "And where the hell is this secret stash of yours? You carry no sack or pockets." "My stash hole. Every halfling has one." "Stash hole?" "Yep." Pipkin patted his butt. "Right behind my shitter." Tharok's face contorted with disgust. Halfway across, the cloaked woman offered them peaches, which they ate hungrily. Moments later, dizziness struck, and they shrank to the size of mice. The woman, a witch hired by Vaughn, cackled as she trapped them in a jar. She delivered them to the captain on the far bank. "3 days until the spell fades," she warned, pocketing Vaughn's gold. Inside the jar, Pipkin refused to surrender. Experimenting with his dagger, he reversed its magic, slicing through the glass. Now, mouse-sized, they scurried to the river, evading Vaughn's notice. The vast water loomed like an ocean, but Tharok's staff conjured a shimmering bridge, allowing them to cross. On the other side, a bobcat pounced, but a band of gnomes, curious and kind, drove it off. They welcomed the tiny fugitives into their village. Pipkin, ever the charmer, won the hearts of the gnome women with his tales. Tharok, exasperated, endured the flirting with eye rolls. For 3 days, the gnomes sheltered them. When the spell wore off, Pipkin returned to his halfling height, but Tharok, to his dismay, was a few inches shorter. The gnome women showered Pipkin with trinkets and cheek kisses, which Tharok gruffly interrupted. "Kingsport awaits," he growled, shooing them off. Meanwhile, Vaughn, discovering the empty jar, roared in defeat. His perfect record was shattered. In Kingsport, the fugitives found sanctuary. "Thanks for all your help, friend." Pipkin reached out his hand toward the orc. Tharok gazed at it, then shook his head. "I don't do handshakes with halflings." But we'll keep in touch. Pipkin opened a lively tavern where his endless stories drew crowds. Thorok established a workshop, his alchemical brilliance earning respect. They parted as unlikely friends, their shared ordeal forging a bond that transcended their differences. In the borderlands, tales of the halfling and orc who outwitted Varn became legend, whispered by travelers crossing the river under the witch's wary gaze. The end. Until Pipkin's luck in the marketplace runs out again.